Have you ever wondered if you're on the path to health or on the path to disease? Do you ever wonder if you're going to fall prey to cancer, heart disease, or dementia like your parents or your grandparents might have? I'm Penny, and today I'm going to be starting a new series with Dr. Chip Whitney, and it's called The Thieves of Health.
Those things that steal our health, sometimes unknowingly. Sometimes a burglar is ransacking your house and you don't even realize it if you're not home. So in this case, sometimes a lot of these thieves that ultimately lead to those breakdown diseases like cancer, heart disease, and dementia are going completely unknowingly to us. I like to call them the engines of disease. The car analogy, where the engine is silently running, moving, and eventually causes the body to break down. Sometimes these medical topics are really hard to understand. So in very simplistic, easy to understand terms, I want to understand kind of the mysterious concept of toxicity. So people a lot of time have heard about toxins or toxicity or detoxification, and it sounds like a very confusing topic that you don't hear a lot about in kind of mainstream health type talk. But I'm telling you, it is really one of the more important ones that we really should address, and is really not that difficult with some basic steps of what people can walk away with. And what I mean by toxicities is dirty air, dirty water, dirty food. We're all exposed to them every day. I mean, it's just a part of living from the beginning of human existence to today, that we're exposed to things that are, think of the poisons of life that we're exposed to, and our body has to get rid of. So the pollution in the air, the pesticides in the food that we eat, the impurities in the water that we drink, and just normal metabolism. I mean, everyday creation of energy and the activities that we do, there's byproduct, there's pollution. Just like even in a very clean vehicle, there's typically some pollution that's emitted, and we have to be able to process that pollution that just normal everyday metabolism creates.
Our body's doing this all the time. Because we don't see the effect or feel the effect, it's not something that we're aware that our body's actually working on.
The more we're exposed to, or the less we can get rid of, which is the two concepts we're going to put, the imports that come into our life and our ability to get rid of them, exporting them, the more we're exposed to, the more we're going to be at risk of diseases. Cancer is the one. I mean, it contributes to dementia, it contributes to heart attack and strokes. The easier one to understand is cancer. That we've all heard of carcinogens like cigarette smoke is a carcinogen. We know that it contributes to disease. Glyphosate, that in a lot of the pesticides or other chemicals in the pesticides, they're poisons. Other things that we're exposed to, radon, we know that there's specific poisons, but there's lots of them out there that are unnamed or we've heard of over the course of time. I remember back when I was growing up, saccharin and sweeteners was thought to be, but then there was like the debate, is that a carcinogen, is it not? Well, the answer, it is. It may not be as potent of one as some of the others are, but we have to get rid of these things because over the course of time, they hammer on the arteries, they hammer on the brain, they hammer on the organs, and over the course of time can cause breakdown. So the more effective, the more we can reduce our exposures, and the more we can get rid of them when we are inevitably exposed to them, the less risk we have of disease. And quite frankly, I think it's a big part of healthy aging. I mean, I think that the people who age more slowly are the ones who are either processing the poisons of life better, or they're lessening their exposure to them.
Sometimes we feel powerless when it's something as big as an issue like pollution or water. You know, we can feel like there's not much we can do, but what can we do to be a bit more conscious about trying?
Yeah, well, like I said, dirty air, dirty water, dirty food, if you can avoid those. I mean, dirty air, obviously, depending on where you live, you're going to be much less at risk of pollution if you're out in the middle of Wyoming than if you are in the Philadelphia area where I am right now. Air purifiers, especially if people are prone to allergies, air purifiers are great to help clean your air. Clean water. I mean, water is the best liquid to be drinking, and clean water is, particularly depending on where you live, is really important. It's really easy. You don't have to get a fancy system for your house that can be expensive, just a simple pitcher of filtered water that you can drink in your house is good. I caution people on the plastics. So if like the water bottles, that you got to be a little cautious on that. So I always encourage people, if your water bottle's been baking in the sun, I wouldn't drink that water. I guess that's got the plastic is going to leach into the water that you drink. In general, you're better off having one of those water containers that are more metal based, and that you can carry it around in that keep your water cold, and it keeps the plastic from getting in there. So just minimizing your exposure with filtered water. And then food. I mean, I tell people the one of the best investments they can make in their health is organic foods, because it's really kind of sad how much our food is contaminated with pesticides these days. And it's the way they keep it preserved, and they keep the bugs from eating it. And unfortunately, those pesticides in the food that's not organic is potentially dangerous in the long haul. So as people are able, really investing some of your health dollars into organic foods can really be a big return on that investment over the long haul, especially if you're prone to things like the dementia. They can play into dementia. If you're prone to a family history of cancer, it really might be a really good investment for you. There is actually, you can see online, you can get lists of them, but the Dirty Dozen foods, or there's a list of foods that have the most pesticides on them. And a lot of them, it's just common sense. Like, it's the sweeter they are and the thinner skins they are, the more the bugs like them, the more pesticides are going to put on. So some of the worst ones are the berries, the raspberries, the strawberries, the blueberries, because they're wonderfully sweet. The bugs love them, so we humans tend to put a lot of pesticides on them. You're kind of getting to know those things and just kind of setting your priorities. I mean, if you can go with all organic, that absolutely is a huge value, or you can kind of prioritize what you're gonna do. It's a long haul thing. It's not a quick fix. This is just kind of a lifestyle. This is one of the lifestyles that I think is it's the easiest, actually, just kind of minimizing your exposure, because you kind of set up your process of getting the pitcher, maybe getting an air purifier, getting in the habit of which organic foods you're going to get. Once you've kind of set it into motion, and you do it for months, years, decades, that really is going to pay a big dividend on your return. We have the natural detoxification mechanisms. If you want to keep it simple, think of it as you poop it out, you pee it out, and you sweat it out. And then our liver helps to detoxify. So there's 4 main mechanisms that we all get rid of. It's really important to have regular bowel movements. If you're prone to constipation, do something about it. I mean, fiber supplements are great. They double as a prebiotic to kind of feed the good bacteria of our intestine, and they help you to kind of have, through that mechanisms, more regular bowel movement. And it's the reason that you hear about drinking lots of clean water is good, because the more that you flush things through your kidneys, the more you're going to get rid of these. So those are 2 huge ways of detoxifying. I mentioned the liver. That's why we have a liver, is in the detoxification of everything, again, from the external things that we're exposed to the internal things that we produce just through daily living and eating and moving and exercising and working. It helps to get rid of all of those. Sweating is a really big way that some people detoxify. Some people, unfortunately, their Achilles heel is their ability to get rid of the poisons of life.
I think this is going to be something that people can really implement.
It just takes a commitment. It's not particularly difficult to intervene. So you drink lots of clean water, so you pee more and you detoxify that way, or you find mechanisms to get a bowel movement every day, every other day, if you can, and not just wait till you feel lousy from it. And then and then a lot of I didn't talk about, but a lot of the food's a whole different topic to cover at some point, but a lot of the healthy foods that you talk about, it helps that liver detoxify. And clean food, like we talked about, it's important. But the choices of foods too, a lot of those healthy foods that you know about, it's all about a lot of it's to help support the liver and all of those intricate mechanisms for helping it detoxify.
This, with the steps and the practical tools, it's just so empowering. So thank you again for another lovely session.